Yeah, definitely. I think you know, the music stays the same in some degree, but also the fact that I look back and just think, holy cow, has it really been 30 years? And you know, but there's some great stories. I think you mature as a musician over 30 years. And thank you for having me, and thank you. You know, I feel very humbled to have the opportunity to talk to you today. So I would have been around 18, I think, born in 74, if my maths are any good. And uh, I was living in this really gothic house. And I sort of moved away, and my brother had this drummer that he was jamming with, and they needed a singer. And my brother said to me, "Hey, do you want to come down and, you know, just do some singing?" And it was actually at one of my old schools, and you know, school wasn't a particularly great time for me, really. So going back, it was almost like standing back on a stage of like, oh god, I hate this fucking school. You know. And then you know, we jumped, we actually record well, we played on the stage, and belt out a couple of songs, and it just felt great. And I take the one thing I took from those early rehearsals of being like, or band jams or whatever you want to call it, um was that suddenly you had two people trying to or three people, sorry, two other people and myself, um trying to work on a group project, i.e. a song, to make it better, or to, and suddenly it felt like family, and suddenly it felt like, oh, actually this is a nice place to belong in music, you know, united. And that whole term of a band, you know, so that was my first taste of it. And I think, you know, from that point, um whether people come or go in your life, your bandmates were, you know, uh, to me were family. And that was my first real experience of it. And you know, we had Sean Savage on drums, and he had a Tama drum kit. My brother had like this Marshall amp. My brother had been playing guitar since he was literally 12, so he was really good. And just me doing some vocals, and you know, it was just amazing to experience that. And suddenly I felt like I belonged in the world. So from someone who had been bullied all the way through school, you know, to suddenly then feel like I belonged, I found music, and that was that, really. Always wanted to play guitar. Um, well, actually, let's shift back slightly. So around 2000, I started playing bass guitar. Just because like I wanted to run around with a wooden stick like everyone else did around the stage, and you know, um, yeah. So I was in a couple of sort of like bands, NFS. I was in a Bristol band called Peep Show. I was in another Bristol band called Power Shift, and just playing bass. You know, I think you can pick up bass guitar and play kind of like, you know, basic kind of, you know, root notes, if you like. And then there's some amazing bass players out there that obviously, you know, got to do some tremendous runs. And you know, but again, just to be part of music, you know, in any sense. So bass guitar was my first kind of go-to around the 2000s. And then around 2015, um you know, I just thought, right, I'll pick up a guitar and just have a go. And then I met a friend called Melanie, and she played drums. So we started kind of like rehearsing, and just sort of like, you know, loose rehearsing at Rabana's in Birmingham, because I think I was in Birmingham at that point. Yeah. It's very, yeah, it's a very cathartic experience. So I got sort of, I thought, right, need to kind of get off my ass and take these songs out onto an open mic. So I did that, and they went down quite well, because what you'll find is some of the open mics are, a lot of people just play covers. um and I, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, of course, but you will find that if you go to an open mic, probably 90% of the you know, what my experience is, people will play covers. They'll put in their own songs here and there, but I rock up and I'm just like, it's just mine. It's like, it's just my stuff. So we spoke earlier, you know, sometimes I'll tell a story. You know, I wrote a song called A Night to Remember, you know, who's about a friend who died in a motorcycle accident and the times that we've had together, and how a night to remember is, you know, you need to remember those special nights, because it's the normal moments in life that we look back on and miss. Yes, we all want these great moments in, you know, in life, and we want to make these great memories, but when you don't have anyone around anymore, it's just those normal moments that you miss, you know. So it was the songs went down quite well when I was, you know, I just sort of got writing a bit more, and Tearfuls has kind of turned into this almost, you know, Frank Turner-esque, telling stories, playing songs, and see if I can, you know, that if there's one person in the audience that goes, wow, you know, I was recently playing, we did a festival last year, for a little girl, like a charity festival, raising some money for her. She's only 6 and she's got a like thing with her spine, and we all played for free, and you know, there was many musicians there, and a lot of them had played like covers and get the crowd going, but after I came off stage, a guy at the back of the you know, back of the tent, he sort of said, like, he goes, do you know what, I really love that song Ghost. He said, you know, he said I just heard you talking about it next time you were playing it, and he goes, it just, everything stopped for me. I just wanted to hear that song Ghost. And so I think it's quite humbling, you know, playing your own music, and Tearfuls is something I'm really proud of. Yeah, such a huge question, I think, and I don't think I have the answer for you, to be honest. Um, and I'll try and give it a bash, because I think all my years of being in music has been peaks and troughs. So although, you know, I've got, you know, some people that might follow me as an artist, or, you know, I know when I'm coming back to Birmingham with my new project Remnants of Eden, you know, especially with the red hair, the fire guitar, and there's going to be a lot of fire around the new project. You know, I'm lucky that there's a few people who is like, Katie, when you come back to Birmingham, I've literally turned down 4 gigs already, just because I'm still building that band. So if you take my first sentence of being, it's been peaks and troughs, I'm always having to network, because I'm coming out of a trough. Do you know what I mean? So I've never reached that stage where I can say, like, you know, I'm here playing, you know, a round of you know, O2 arenas across, you know, UK, although I have played the O2. Um, I've got to drop it in. But I think it really does come down to networking. I think, you know, it's nothing will beat working on a circuit, meeting bands, meeting other musicians, and ultimately trying to extend your network of promoters. I think that's probably, you know, and then obviously that's coupled together with trying to stay, you know, trying to stay current, trying to stay, you know, even if that's, you know, social media is such a thing now, and, you know, we can all dismiss like social media as being a bad thing. But if you're a musician or an artist or a poet, you know, you're going to have to continually, you know, have some sort of presence. So I think it's almost like we should come up with some funky thing, like it's a 5-star approach, you know. So I definitely think, you know, networking, there's nothing like word of mouth, and I think, you know, playing shows, meeting new people, and I'm having that here because I've recently moved to Essex. Um, and no, no. So I heard of this, you know, on social media. I heard of this festival happening last year, and it was called Hope for Grace. And as I say, it was this, is this. I think she's about 4 or 5 years old, and she's got this spine problem, and looking for musicians. So I was like, boom, hit her a message and just said like, hey, I don't care where you put me on the bill. I would absolutely love to not only come and play because, but I wanted to kind of like take her calls and put it on my social media, see if I can help raise money for her, because it's not for me to go, oh, there's a gig. It's not for me to say, oh, that's another tick, that's another gig. I genuinely wanted to kind of like, so if you have 1,000 people on your social media and you're saying you're raising money for this little girl, then maybe some of those people will come and see your show, and then ultimately come and help support that charity. um, and I was lucky enough, we had this one guy, and I will drop his name because he's a great supporter of my music, a guy called Alan Hodgkins, and he travelled all the way down from Leicester to come down and see me play, and then bought two Hope for Grace hoodies, which were probably around £25, and the charity ended up raising £3,000. So that was just spotting it in social media, a quick message to them to say that I would love to help. I would love to come and play. I would love to help, raise awareness of this charity and help raise some money for this event. And it was a great success. So I think that was one line. So there's our networking. um, Right. Okay. Yeah. So the promoters that I've dealt with, obviously through my last band, The Wild Strays, um, we had about 5 or 6 promoters scattered over various counties, um, that we would message and sort of say, "Hey, have you got any gigs coming up? We're looking at doing." So promoter is, in a sense, they're promoting an event. So they're looking to put some acts on who are quite current at the moment, maybe quite hot. Um, Promoters are always looking for acts who can perhaps pull in a crowd, perhaps, however, there's promoters out there, if, let's say, for instance, I don't know, I was just starting out and I messaged a promoter up in Birmingham or down in Bristol. Likely is they're going to put you on the bottom of the bill because you'll be first act on, which, you know you're always going to be happy with that if you have the right attitude and sort of say, like, look, I'm just happy to play. I think wherever I get asked to play, I'm just happy to play. I'm happy to come and be a part of it. Um, yeah, I mean, on that note, I'm very tempted to be a promoter down in Essex, and I was potentially looking for a venue where I could have acts come down, and come and play. So maybe there is, if you're involved in music, and so there is some people who's going to pick up that mantle, and put on an event and try and help those. So it's your help putting on a show, and then you're also obviously finding the acts, to come down. I mean, um, we did a comeback gig in, I think that was 2018, when I left the Wild Strays for a short time and I came back, and we we hired out the Flapper in Birmingham. I think it was about £300 for the gig and the sound engineer. Yeah. Then what we did is it was our comeback gig, so we headlined it, um, and then we had we had Kira Mack from Stoke, who's amazing. And then we had, oh god, now you're gonna get me. My friend's band from London, and I can't think what they're called. Um, we'll edit. And then we promoted it, and we put all the posters up around the pub, and we were on social media trying to promote it, and we just cut even. All right. It's a tough business though, because obviously, somewhere somebody, you may say, I'm happy to play for free, because you know you want to get into what sort of money is in playing gigs. Not much, to be honest. Yeah, good question. I think when I was putting together my Tearfuls tour to do it across the UK, which is still in the making, um, I want to play Edinburgh, Glasgow, Newcastle, and I had a few venues booked. And for me, it was a simple case of, like, doing some research of the music venues in that particular city that you're interested in, and then having a look, and maybe even give them a call. If you were wanting to play Bannerman's up in Edinburgh, give them a call, and they will say, oh, all our gigs go through Joe Smith. So you think, right, okay, fantastic. If you got a number for Joe Smith, can I give him a call? So a lot of it is your own investigation work. Do you know what I mean? So if I wanted to play, say, Exeter, um, I'd look at the music venues, I'd give them a call, see what I can arrange. So I think if you're looking to play different cities, it's a case of using the internet, see if you can find some groups that um, promoting gigs up in the northwest or something like that. So you know yourself, if you're involved in music, a lot of it is self motivation. A lot of it is you will need to go out and do the legwork yourself. No one's gonna you know if I didn't do nothing at all, if I didn't do my music, if I didn't write new music, if I didn't have a presence on Facebook, or my website, or Instagram, or if I didn't go out and do gigs year on year, then what would happen? You'd literally just fade away. I think so. Yeah, I think you know there's lots of ways in there. Like, if you had your eye on a particular venue that you wanted to play, I mean, I would often go with a very open mind. If I wanted to play a particular city, I would look at two or three different venues and just see what I can find out. But you could look at the bands or the people that's playing there. You could go through them. You could message them, say, I've just seen you recently played this venue. I'm looking to get in. Is there any chance that you might be able to help me? Who I might speak to? Sometimes my experience of speaking to a venue, they will give you the promoter's name because they won't deal with it. But as you say, there's a lot of promoters out there that will get, like, email after email, uh, and just won't sift through it all. So I think it is a hard game. I think there's two important things you need to remember when you're dealing with promoters or booking gigs. um, and the first one is going to be, right, if you say you're going to be there, absolutely do or die, be there. Just don't let promoters down, because you need them as much as they need you. They don't need you dropping out at the last minute. So unless your leg's fallen off, like, or something like that, turn up. Yeah. And there was a second point to that as well, with promoters. But I mean, definitely, the biggest one is going to be, if just don't let just if you say you're going to do it, if you say you're going to be there, then just be there. You've just reminded me what the second point is. What you'll find is that some people will get booked, and some of the bands will resonate with this. So let's say you're a headlining band, and you're going to book a few sort of support slots. So you book this support slot, and they bring their mates along, and then they play. The support band goes home, and their fans go home, and it just, like, so. be there for the night. Like if you're gonna, if you're gonna play a show, like if you booked me, right, and I'm booked to play 8 o'clock in the evening, and you're on at 10, I'm gonna be there until 11, because show some respect. There's a few bands out there that haven't quite learnt this, and maybe because they're young and I'm getting old. um, but to me, yeah, that so turn up on time. Yeah, I mean, obviously, your headliner has to bring, they're headlining because they can bring a crowd anyway. But it's just, I've played a few gigs where, we've experienced it both ways. I've experienced it where we've been the support, and headlining band will just turn up at the 11th hour, play because they're cool, and then go. um, but I want to mention a band. There's an all-girl group called the Ramonas, and just an incredible, great energy, great girls. And we played the oh bloody hell, my brain's mush. What's it down? It's down right in the centre of Birmingham. Um, I can't think what it's called now. It's one. No, it's not the Sugar Mill. Anyway, we played this venue, um, and the Ramonas are pretty damn big. They'll pull a massive crowd. Anyway, they came out for about 3 of our songs and just stood there and watched every band that night. Even if it was like for 5-10 minutes, they watched every band, and that meant the world to me. For they could have just sat in the green room, chatted and just come out. But yeah, so just be supportive of the music industry in general. We're all clawing tooth and nail, and I think, be nice. I've known you now for well over a couple of years. It's always nice to check in with you. So I think, it's always nice to check in. Obviously, I was over the moon when you had your Luxembourg tour announced. So I think just be nice, just be supportive. Yeah, I think those core elements are really important. You know, Often you'd only get 15 minutes changeover, especially on the bands. I know we're talking more about single acoustics solo artists. But we also do. But yeah, keep your timings. I think is important. Again, it's just respect, isn't it? I definitely think it's different. I think, whenever I approach a festival, well, let's answer the first question first. How do you even think about getting onto a festival? Um, Festivals are very sought after. There's always going to be a lot of artists wanting to get onto a festival, and there's going to be the promoter there wanting to look at the acts and say, right, okay, well, I want the festival to be a success. So you got two pots here, right? You want to play, you're nice and eager, and then you've got the festival that it wants to be a huge success. So obviously they'll go for the bookings, and they may pay for the bigger acts and so forth like that. And then they're going to want to put some fluff around, aren't they? So hence, here I come. So, so, um, so I've been asked to play the Brightlingsea Festival down here. I've played the Rock the Beacon Festival up in Wolverhampton. Um, I've played the Calm Festival up in Wigan. And I've played one other festival. What was that? The Hope for Grace. Hope for Grace. So Hope for Grace was quite a small festival, charity event, really. Rock the Beacon, massive, absolutely huge. Okay, so we're talking, well, Brightlingsea is a big festival here. Um, how do you do it? Um, it's a good old networking, I'm afraid. Playing on the scene. um, the Rock the Beacon Festival up in Wolverhampton. I I was rehearsing in Rabanas. Do you know Rabanas? Yep. So Pussycat Dolls recorded their single there, Rabanas. Yeah. So they've done film recordings there. Scooby Doo was recorded there. and steeped in history. Black Sabbath have been there, Trivium, and many other bands. So I've been going to Urbanas. I'm like this little bouncy little bloody like Rob, the owner, Rob Hoffman. He'll go, kitty cat, KT, you're right. And I'm like, all right, Rob, how's it going? So I've been going there years, and he was putting on this festival, and I just said to him, I said, Rob, I would absolutely love to play it. So again, I got that gig because I knew Rob. He knew me, and he knew I wasn't going to let him down. He knew that, and I built my tour around that being the last date. So I promoted it, and we went on Wolverhampton Radio and did that. So that's how I landed that gig. The Calm Festival was for mental health, and I think I might have just hit them a message. So I don't think festivals are that elusive to play. I think it's picking up that phone, finding out who the point of contact is, and obviously you're going to want, and I know you're going to be really good at this. You have one of those kits, press kits. Yeah. They're going to want to see what your presence is like. So we go back to basics. They're going to go, well, okay, so yourself, right? Okay, we're going to look you up on YouTube. We're going to look you up on social media, see what your presence is like, see if you have any songs you've been working on and promoting. Because the promoter's going to want to check you out. Yeah, absolutely. They're going to want an act that is been a little been around a couple of years. They're going to want someone who they know, who is comfortable up on stage, who can get a crowd going. We went back to raising your arm and like clapping, and I know it's, see, we get into the dynamics of band and solo, and as you say, the stripped back version of me and my Tearfuls is very intimate compared to something if you see me on a band. And I think that's part of its charm. So yeah, yeah. So you'll be doing your acoustics tents and stuff like that. But yeah, so again, it's going to be, you, whether you like it or not, are a product. You are you're something that you need to you promote. So what am I trying to say? Yeah. What is your product? Who are you? What do you? But yeah, yeah. But if you don't, like, I didn't know Wigan. I knew there was a mental health um festival taking place. I knew that my Tearful songs would go down a storm there because I just knew that fitted the remit. Um, and it was a case of messaging the people around that festival to say that I am really interested. I would really, like to play that festival, and I'd like to promote it and help on my side. And even you as an artist on that bill have to help with the promoting of the event. It's a two-way street. But yeah, yeah. So I think, even if I don't know, let's say I want to go and play a festival in my hometown where I grew up in Somerset. It would be the good old fashioned, oh, okay, I've heard about this festival, right? Okay, who's the organizer? Who can I email? Can I send my press kit? Can I send my songs? Can I send my social media links so you can check me out? you know Okay, yeah. So I've been fortunate enough to be on a few radios over the years, and it's always exciting. It's always something that, again, you're going to go back to basics of being there on time, or if you're expecting a call, be ready. But how do you get it? Um, Again, we had, like, we've had singles. Like, I know you've got your second single coming out, because I do keep an eye on you. Um, but um, no, it's all good. So I think something trying to get on the radio, you've obviously got to have something quite current, right? There's no good me going on the radio right now where I haven't got nothing going on, so you're going to have obviously a string of festivals. Your Luxembourg tour would have been a great one. So if I've been your kind of like, if I was looking after you as an artist, I would have hopefully spoken to some of Luxembourg radio, see if, because we've got this UK artist coming over, and he's playing 4 dates, and it'll be amazing if we could just get him a smidge, a little spot on your show just to promote this. Maybe speak to the local radio. When I was living up in Stafford, I messaged Stafford Radio, and because we were the local musicians doing quite big things, playing London, and we managed to get our single played. So again, I think it's a case of being humble, messaging the radio station, but making sure you have something to promote, making sure you have something current, and you've just come off the back of that tour now, so you're not building up towards something. Do you get my point? You know. Okay, so we'll come from a Tearfuls. We'll come from the acoustic side of things in regards to this question. And what do you think you need, and when do you think you get to the caliber? Is that what you're saying? Of I think that open mics are absolute gold mines. I think there is a place for open mics for you to go to definitely hone your art. Even I will still do open mics to sharpen my skill set. I think you shouldn't be knocking on any doors of festivals if you still have that confidence. You don't have it, you have a lack of confidence, or maybe you've not, if you've not come up with a 30-minute set. These are staple things that you're going to need if you contact the festival. How long can you play for? Some people want you to play for 45 minutes. I think a minimum 30 minutes. I don't know what your set is. I think, yeah, yeah. I think you shouldn't really be knocking on any promoters' doors unless you haven't. You must have at least 30 minutes. Yeah, and try and think about, you are, you're presenting a show, right? So think about how, like, suddenly you've gone from open mics where you can jitter your words, you can bumble between a song, and you can kind of get through a night, right? Okay, that's open mics. But if you're going to play a gig like you've done, or to play like a festival, certainly a festival, you want your show to be fluent. You may want like 2 of those songs just to go back to back. You don't want to be talking at the start of every song, because it just looks stilted. Um, you know, sometimes you think about how you want to present yourself. Maybe even rehearse your show, just because, like, you would know that you're going to say this here, you're going to get the crowd to do this, you're going to have a story here. Write your set list out, these basic things of, have your set list written out of what songs order you want to play in. So I think that's the difference between, open mic and festival, or even in normal, booking gigs like you're doing. But with a festival, also, we spoke about it earlier off air. Be mindful of the fact that if it's just you and a guitar, it's quite a small sound. It can be quite a small sound. When you stop playing, the whole world, everything stops. So for me personally, if I got booked for a festival, when I played the Hope for Grace festival, I had my bass player come down from Derby, and he joined me on stage. When I played Rock the Beacon festival, I had Grace, my lead guitarist, join me on stage. And Grace is a phenomenal guitarist. if you'd come to Rock the Beacon and seen myself and Grace set up on stage, you knew that you were going to be in for a 30-minute, quite a good show. So there has to, yeah. So, obviously you are a singer, songwriter, solo artist. Um, but you could have a guest appearance. So I always say, got a guest appearance. Tearful's purposely is not Katie Eden. Yes, I'm the person behind it, but Tearful's is particularly just called a name because I can have guest people come in on a record. I can do all kinds of things with it. It gives like an open scope to it all. But yeah, so yeah, so do write a set list. Um, do rehearse your show. Do know what you kind of want to say rather than kind of on the fly. But also be you have a narrative. Yeah, you have a narrative. I mean, you can always point. I've done it in shows before where someone's going crazy and enjoying your show, and they're like gonna, you know, you point them out and kind of go rah like that. Um, but yeah, I think but just you know, and what one thing I just want to say as well is that um, be genuinely and authentically you. There's no one else in the world like you, so just be you. Like you get some people I think being an original artist, for me, I'm really proud to write my own songs and to do my own thing. And and some people get behind that, and I think there's something quite magical about being you. As for things not to do, yeah, just things that we spoke of, don't be don't have bad timekeeping. Just think about how you are when you play, and do you think you're at festival level? Don't run before you can walk. Okay, so I think most of the gigs I do, I play for free. Just because I I want to play, I want to be involved in a gig in a festival, and I want to network, and I want to. Those are the core things that I want to get from the gig. I want to play, I want to meet new people, I want to be out, I want to do my thing, and any gig or is great exposure on my social media. I'm being active, all of those things is not related to money, yet still very valuable to me as an artist. You can have a photographer come up to that gig, and you can have, let's say we're talking about play for free a second. You could have a gig booked, you could pay for a photographer to come or you can have a family member or whatever, take some photos, and you can use those live shots to then promote you further in your next gig. Oh, if you got some gig shots, if you got some footage of me. So playing for free is literally not a bad thing to do to start with. uh, I think personally, if you have been around, as I say, it's just my humble opinion. I think if you've been around for a couple of years and you feel like you've been playing free for a year, right? And you think, right, okay, now I need to start calling a little bit of petrol money here. um I don't think you should play for free even for a year. I think there's going to be opportunities. If someone said to you, like, if I said to you, I want you to come play down here, you'll be like, Katie, can you cover my fuel? It's not a bad question to ask, to cover your basic fuel, £20, £25. And then the promoter will then look and go, right, okay, well, I've already paid 200, I don't know, I've paid £100 for the main act, I've got the door, the sound engineer, I've got this, that, and the other, and now you want £20. Okay, so I guess it's down to the promoter's budget. um, so I think playing for free is not a bad idea because we can take so many things from it. But there has to come a point where, if you've been at it for years, I think eight, or or you've refined your act, and like Tearfuls is quite young. It's been around since 2019, and we've had COVID, so I still haven't pushed Tearfuls to where I believe it should be. So if you booked me for Tearfuls up in Birmingham, I'd be like, just come and play. Like, I'm not, like, which you may do. You may say, Katie, do you want to come up and play? I'm not. I'm. I'm not. I'm not gonna, say straight away, oh, can you cover my fuel? Because I want to come and play. But I think, after a couple of years and you've got a couple of EPs, I think it's quite fair to say, oh yeah, um, yeah, I sort of have some, I do like to cover my fuel, or I do see. This is the trouble and the difference between being an original artist or being a cover band, because cover bands or cover artists, you know, seem to, that the venue can promote you as, say, I don't know, I can't think of a single guitar player right now that you could cover. What am I trying to say? But they could promote you as that person and say, this person's gonna come down and do Oasis and 80s hits, and suddenly the crowd will come. But if suddenly, if you've got Katie Eden, say, oh, who's that? Exactly. So if you say, I want £50 to pay to come and play, are you bringing a revenue of £50 in? Yeah, yeah. So you just, I guess, the answer to your question is to try and be mindful, and have some humility around how the music business works. And you know um nowadays I've found you will make, and it's a lot of money, and I don't have a lot of money, to be honest, but um I'm going to have some t-shirts coming out for my Tearful stuff and my Remnants of Eden, and you will make more than enough fuel money if I come up to you and buy one of your t-shirts and it's got like your signature here. How cool is that? Someone's wearing your merch, exposing your brand, and you've played for free and you've sold £60 worth of t-shirts. So this is why I said music really is a throwaway business now, although it's the heart of what we do. um, you know, you signing the CD up for me while I'm next to you, and I go home and go back to that charm of having it in my hands or wearing a t-shirt. Yeah. So I think merch is definitely, whether it's a plectrum, or whether it's a t-shirt, or whether it's a hat. I'm not big on hats, but there's going to be merch, probably your best friend, and that involves capital. Now, 100 t-shirts are probably going to be about £200 or £300. It can do. So I think anyone who, unless you have a bit of money or a bit of savings. So I'm going to be buying these Tearfuls t-shirts, this year. uh Thank you. I think they're cool. I'm really working hard on the design, and yeah. So you can see how, like, I'm just trying to think, the festivals I've played, even Rock the Beacon, which was on the outskirts of Wolverhampton, a huge gig, I played for free. Yeah. But also think of the positives. Think of the exposure. Think of the photos you can get, opportunities you can get when you're up on this glorious stage. Think of all the things that, think outside the box. Pardon? Yeah, absolutely. So it's always things that, it's a case of a positive, negative attitude, isn't it? So go there. Maybe you could do a live blog while you're backstage. People love that on social media. Okay. There's generally, look, there's so much good in the music world. I think the people, the promoters, the musicians themselves, um you know for them, I'd say there's far more positive than negative out there, um in regards to, yeah, so I definitely feel that the good far outweighs the bad. um I'm just trying to think of some bad. I've heard of people like my musician friends up on Facebook where they've been promised money and then the promoters ran out at 9 o'clock and got his money out of the thing. And then I've heard of this, but you know I I don't lie, and I've never had that happen to me. Probably because I'm paying for free. um but No, be it radio, or be it gigs or open mics or festivals, I've genuinely had very good experiences. From both. Yeah, and I think and sometimes you'll be on the same bill as an artist who's just got a bit of a bad attitude. And I think you just have to pinch that with that. There's different walks of life, and you could walk into Sainsbury's and have someone with a bad attitude. It's just the way it is. And you learn the good from the bad. You learn which people are a good circle and which people are not a good circle. And yeah, I wish I could give golden staple things to stay away from. But in different circles and different places around the country, you're going to find the promoters who are going to give you a shot. You're going to find, like, Adam Ward Waddy from Birmingham. You've been to a few of his shows at a Dark Horse. A wonderful guy who will literally will give any young punk band a go, and give them a stage to so there is some genuinely good people. My worry is the fact that I think as we get older, I wonder if the volume of promoters is going down, because I've not seen, most of the promoters I deal with are over 40. I think that's fair to say, right? So which is why and put shows on and different things like that. But yeah, I think you're always going to find horror stories with one promoter or this and but I think they're very quickly weeded out. I think you have to look after one another in the music business. You have to be professional, otherwise people's not going to want you back. If you called me up into Birmingham and and I was a complete bitch and just wanted, like, a rider and a fridge. I've been lucky to have, like, fridges of beer, like, and sandwiches. We played up in Derby, the Hairy Dog, and they put on sandwiches for us. But I, you know, you know me, I'm not gonna. I've not reached those dizzy heights. Before we go, um, thank you once again for having me on your awesome interview. Really do appreciate it. Please do check out Tearfuls. That's Tearfuls with a Z on the end. And my very new band, my new project, my heart and soul, Remnants of Eden. My last hurrah as a band, my last ever band. So